Testing, testing. We're on the air. Testing, testing, testing. We are live. All right. All right. We're live. All right. See what the invites look like, but get this show on the road. All right, guys. My name's Mark Antonio. It's the first episode that I'm really putting out there, right? All right. So you guys have probably seen me on TikTok, easily on Facebook. I'm trying to do a little promotion, but I'm kind of busy, so I'm going through those motions. But bear with me. Um, All right, so the video to the face right now. Okay. Uh so I go by Marcus, but business purposes I go by Mark Antonio. It's real simple. That wasn't the original name, but it ended up kind of just changing on me because someone else already owned it. It's kind of one of those things. Um for me, the beginning of this is because of, the kind of person I am, the kind of information I like to read and the activities that I'm involved in, I find myself around a lot of people. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I do coach now, ex-military, happily married. And previous to doing this podcast, I just kind of did my own thing, uh, you know, school and whatnot, family life, husband life. Um, but I find myself now coming out and putting myself out there. This is new. This is exciting. This is something that I don't do often. But 2023, things got to change. Try something new, right? Shake it up. Keep it fresh. Um, so that's all it really is there about me. Like I'm not like a technical guy. I wasn't some hardened veteran soldier. Not at all. Ex Air Force, 4 years, 3M, food service, and sports and fitness recreation. Yeah, you guys, we all don't jump out of planes or fly or do anything like that. That's not all of us. Most of us are just supporting Air Force. Most of the military is support. Minus the tip of the spear, the fighting force. But for the most part, excuse me, we all don't do anything. We just support, kind of go on about our day, um, embrace the suck, as you've heard me say. So that's that. Now, what I want to talk to you guys about tonight, uh, it's discussed in many circles. We we call it water cooler conversation or break room conversation. And that's the current state of affairs in America. We'll talk about the world, but let's just keep it to the homeland. Uh, so everyone has this weird sense that there's something coming. We can't explain it. We just feel it, and it doesn't help that the last 20 years in America, it's been a bit rough with the war in Iraq, Afghanistan, 9/11, the collapse of 2008-9, the bailout. Um, let's talk about the last three. COVID uh, put America on a head spin, right? Things got real weird. But that's what's leading into this conversation that I want to have. All right. I'm trying to word this in a way that doesn't sound earmarked. So give me a second. I want to say that in the last 3 years, we've watched America go on lockdowns. We've watched our government spend insane amount of money. Was it Did it help? Yes, it did. I can't say it didn't help as far as people in need and what was going on during COVID. All right. People were home, people were scared. Some folks lost their job. I being one of them. Um, it was one of those situations where no one knew what was going on. And rightfully so, people were terrified. So what the government do? They gave people a lot of money and told them, hey, the government's here on a horse, shining armor, here to save us all, right? But in the back of your head, did you not think that this whole situation was just out of touch? I'm not saying that some disease or germ can't come come and spread and do all those things. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the whole situation seemed ill placed, meaning it shouldn't have happened, not least the way it did. All right. Nonetheless, America's been a different place for it. The world has been a different place for it. But now there's this growing sense with the recent events that we've all witnessed in America, from the train derailments, the crazy storms on the west side, and pick something out of the hat that hasn't happened, basically, right? So it makes me wonder, are we under attack, or are these just random events? I mean, we have to acknowledge Russia, we have to acknowledge the Ukraine issue between them. And we have to also acknowledge at the same token that the root of a lot of our problems kind of from our own government. I'm not saying all these other countries ain't involved and they don't have any problems. They clearly do. But again, we only speak for our land. So, what is it that we as a group of people are starting to realize about our own government? Besides the fact that, they've given billions of dollars to another country for a war that we have no business being a part of. Now, I understand that may ruffle some feathers. There's people out there who are pro Ukraine. There's nothing wrong with that. But this conversation it has to be had. And we would like to have this conversation because the people who are quote unquote supporting this blindly aren't realizing that we have a problem in our own living room of our country. And when I mean by our living room, I mean Ohio, like the derailments, Texas, South Carolina, Arizona, Louisiana, Georgia, Florida. It's happening everywhere, just like the whole processing plants going down. A plane hit a processing plant. Once I could believe that. Three times? That's a bit much. But it still makes me ask the same question. Is there a problem inside of our home? Because it seems that our own institutes have turned on us. And this isn't the first time. I like to acknowledge that I am a black man, so I could be skewed and biased, but it's fair to say the government has screwed most of its citizens, mainly of color. Now, when we get off the subject of people of color, because I don't like to make it about color, because this whole situation is why we're here right now. The division, the arguing about nothing, whole lot of whining. All right, but it is true the government does seem to have a problem with people of color. Uncomfortable truth. So now that we've gotten that ugly truth out of the way, let's get back to what I was saying. In the last 3 years, right, at Trump leading the end of his term, beginning of the actual pandemic, going into Biden. Now, I've never really been fond of Biden. To be honest, I'm not really fond of Trump. I mean, I'm one of the people who's preaching for, new leaders, new ideas, fresh thoughts, fresh minds. Because I, like most of America, do believe that our leadership is tainted at every possible level. There's no way you could say it's not. So let's keep that in mind when we talk about this knock at the door. All right. Because someone's bothering the whole entire country for their own selfish reasons. Someone's harming all the people in the country for their own selfish reasons. And it's not the first time we've seen this. I mean, we've heard of similar events around the world where people get into an uproar and countries are getting overthrown. January 6th was no different than what they do in Brazil and any other country. What makes ours special, though, is because this is the first time where in modern times they've tried this, like stampeding. So our current affairs are different. Like we have war on our doorstep, food issues. Let's not even talk about the human trafficking. And I say this because these that I've watched for a long time, out in the open, different levels, different areas. It happens everywhere. The military has its issues, sports has its issues, schools have its issues. But we as a people don't see it as a whole because a lot of us are still buying into the system or drinking the Kool-Aid. And I get it. You know, it does infringe on a lot of luxuries. It does infringe on people's way of life when they have to accept that their government is what you would call tyrannical. The Second Amendment does give us that kind of safety net to know when our government is going against our greater interests. And this is why a lot of those conversations are being had right now. You see the press releases about stocks being banned on short barrel rifles and random gun bans and sweeping gun laws, right? Makes everybody a little nervous. This is what I mean when someone's knocking on your door. Because when I say that, a lot of people do understand it, a lot of people don't. But we all have to agree. We all feel the same thing. We feel the presence of someone there infringing on all of our benefits. And and to this day, that this precious moment that I speak of this with my two viewers, three viewers, thank you. Also, a little Brandon quick moment. Go ahead and hit that follow and share and spread and help me out right now. All right. It's first time doing this, so help your boy out. But we need to wise up, not because of all the fear and the idea of failure, collapse, and famine and new world order. No, I want us to wise up because it's needed. It was needed before this situation came, but again, America made it very comfortable for everybody. We all have our luxuries and our privileges we enjoy, and nobody really wants to see those go away. But they're slowly dissipating on us, and a lot of people aren't saying anything. So for me, this is how I'm gonna do it. Like I'm not out here on a posse up a militia or anything like that, but I think knowing good people around you right now and finding like-minded people and it's helpful in dealing with the anxiety of what's going on. And if you don't have the anxiety, maybe you feel the depression of it. And it's definitely there. It's a real feeling. So I see this as an opportunity to, reach out and put myself out and talk and discuss what's bothering me about all this and other various topics and cool stuff, music, crypto, celebrities, I guess. I'm not a celebrity person. You guys are gonna find out real quick. I think those people kind of crappy in some ways. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I'm out here the holiest of the holy, but I ain't no celebrity and I ain't a piece of shit. I still believe in the people. I still believe in helping the little people. Um, I don't believe in turning the other cheek. That's not what I'm saying. But I definitely do believe that we, the people, have to come together black, blue, brown, white, orange, little gray men. We all got to get along in this. It's it's not an option anymore. And makes you feel good on the inside, right? If you still believe in that thing. But getting back onto the subject. Well, let's think about this, right? In the last 40 years, America has been in how many conflicts? A lot of us who know of the mainstream wars like Desert Storm, and there's the Ira Contra issue, the Reagan incident, the 80s. And then, of course, 9/11, 20-year war in Iraq and Afghan being the most recent. Um, is it really what we think it is? Is China really that big of an issue? I mean, were they so much of an issue when they bought our debt? Were they so much of an issue when they were committing their own human trafficking atrocities while no one said anything? Now we're at arms and disagreement with the same people who are buying mass amounts of land and owning our debt. It's a paradox, right? It's it's an omen, something not good coming from that. And then you got Russia, who's pissing on the leg of Ukraine right now because Ukraine's been pissing on the leg of Russia for various reasons that we'll discuss later on in other episodes. But we as Americans are kind of tired of this. This is why we're all going on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and all platforms and voicing our issues with this whole proxy war that we didn't even ask for. We have no reason to deal with this. And if anyone out there wants to say, well, what about those poor people? Well, what about those poor people in this country? We clearly have our own issues. I'm not saying we're better than them, but what I'm saying is fix your own home. It's obvious. The moment you start overlooking your own problems for someone else's problems is typically when you lose everything. And that's basic human interaction. You can't hang with a whole bunch of people that don't do you any well. And then when your life goes to shit, you're like, oh, what happened to me? Well, stop hanging with those people. And that same thing that we're kind of doing with our own country. Our own country isn't doing us the greatest of justices in many ways. And here we are, still going along with it. But yet we're all feeling the same heat. Kitchen's hot right now, guys. Um, if you're in Ohio, if this if this makes it this far to Ohio, hey man, I wish you guys the best. Keep your heads up. For anyone in Tucson and South Carolina, Texas, wherever all these things have happened, hey, hold strong, hold fast, man, and do your best to get out of that place and survive because right now it's not looking good for many people out here. And that's purely in this country. This isn't we haven't even reached into the other countries where they're rioting and shutting down and fighting and throwing rocks at each other. And it's insane. We're the only country not really in an uproar completely just yet. Everyone else seems to be hot and bothered, but oh behold, America is just, like, we're okay. And that's the problem. We're okay with this. I mean, it's America. There's mental health could be blamed on a lot of this. A lot of people are desensitized, excuse me. A lot of people are used to seeing this. If you're from the poverty stricken areas of America, then shit, that's just a normal day. But for some, completely blind of it, whether it be because of their religion, their political beliefs, shit, this the 12-hour, 6-day week for them. 4 kids, 2 kids, a couple dogs. You're just too busy to see it. I want to remind people that this same country locked away the Japanese during World War II. It's the same country that allegedly founded it and then slaughtered a whole indigenous group of people. Same country that fought during slavery. Same country during the gang epidemic in LA and the rest of America. And it's the same country that locked everyone up during the crack epidemic, knowing knowing that Reagan was doing his deeds through his little proxy war and guerrilla warfare in Central South America. Again, stuff is all out. It's not hidden, not a secret. I mean, it's kind of a secret because if you don't know it, then I guess it's a secret. But America's atrocities are out in the open. They've been in the open. Slavery is one of their biggest atrocities besides slaughtering the indigenous people that were once here. So always remember, they'll do it. Now, will they do it in modern times? We're all hoping they won't. And that I'm out of my mind and I'm just batshit crazy, guys. Just another guy drinking the Kool-Aid of the conspiracy theories and running himself crazy like a dog chasing his tail. But you gotta admit right now, man, shit is crazy right now. You gotta admit it. We've seen some shit. If you're a millennial, you've seen some shit. If you're a boomer, man, you've seen the good, bad, and the ugly. Generation X, we know you've seen all the worst shit possible. You were like the silent generation for no apparent reason. And that's not to say it was your fault, but people had to learn a life lesson in the 70s. But that knock at the doors get louder. And it's been there. And one day you're gonna answer it. And you're not gonna like who's there. I know that sounds like it's fear mongering. It's not. It's just an opinion from a guy who seems to notice the small things. Like this. Like America and the new North American Alliance. Or the America's Alliance. Whatever you want to call it. And it's snuggling up to Mexico now, huh, out in the open. Mexico's like the ugly chick when it comes to America. They do it in the dark, but they normally don't want to be seen with them during the day. And that's proven. Look at the border. Let them in the back door. Let them do all the tax free jobs, hard labor, picking vegetables and fruit and all that, and cattle. The hard jobs nobody else wants to do, but turn their back on them quickly when someone sees them shaking their hand in public. We've heard this before. I'm sure plenty of people know what that feels like in America. I don't care what color you are. You want to be treated with some dignity. Well, dignity out the door. In America, there is no dignity. You can do what the fuck you want to do here and make it. You can snowboard. You can win the lottery. You can sell drugs. Shit. You can lie and become a politician. Best job smoking if you don't want to be held accountable for nothing. But truth of the matter is, America is home of the free and land of the brave. Or is it home of the brave and land of the free? Whatever. They're one of them. They like to believe. But we all don't deny that feeling that feeling of anxiety and despair, fear, and mongering. We actually feel it. Now I'm not gonna get too crazy into, the science, the spirit, the metaphysics tonight and all that. But I am gonna get into the fact that we all feel this bad, weird feeling like something is coming. Do you believe it's coming? The gun sales say different. Because if you don't, then that's fine. I believe that there are people right now who are here to, you know, help the world brace themselves when they get the news that the world ain't what it used to be, and they never that it never was what you think it is. It's like the movie The Matrix. It's a facade. It's how you want it to go for yourself. If you don't want to see anything, guess what? You don't have to pay attention to it. If you don't want to see the atrocities of the world, you can turn to VH1 and let your mind wander with that. You can go on the internet, you can go on Facebook, you can filter out everything. This is how people have managed their lives. for so long with the internet. They choose to see things. And right now, with everything going on and people are deploying, guard units are being called right now. The truth is out there. You just have to sit down and pay attention. And please don't think mainstream media is telling you the whole entire truth. I'm here to tell you, they told you guys the truth at a long time. What they do now is give you the opinion to let you formulate the truth instead of giving you the truth to let you formulate your own opinion. It's just a subtle twist. But they do it. Fox News is involved, Fox Soul is involved, CNN, they're all your favorite networks. Sometimes you get lucky, get something slipped in on the Young Turks, right? But everyone has to be careful. It get a crazy kook they're raving about those guys that they get so sensitive about when you mention them. So is there something to his ranting and raving, or is he just crazy? Because everyone seems to be ranting and raving and pointing to the same spots in history and formulating the same truths. So that leads us to think if we're all reading the same thing, then why is it we don't know what to do? Why? We don't know what the enemy looks like. In theory, we do. We see like the pictures of the Rothschilds and the old Rockefellers and you know all these old families, but who's actually getting near these people? Who actually would know what to do? What are you going to do in that situation? I don't know. I haven't been in that situation. But it seems to be across the board that people are calling for heads, not in a sense of heads need to be gone, but there needs to be accountability to what's going on with our government and our funding and our debt that we just seem to not be able to get rid of until mysteriously $21 trillion this week. Now, if I was a gambler, I would assume that, that oops wasn't really an oops. But I keep it to the narrative and say it is. And that's not, again, fear mongering or pointing the finger. Not to say I hate my government, I hate my country. I serve my country. My mother served the country. My father served the country. My father in law served the country. I'm a long generation of veterans that have served this country, not because we truly love this country, but because, to be fair, that's the best thing smoking with benefits. Now, you do learn some things in there. The whole idea of being Army strong or go blue in the Marines. Look, man, everyone does it for their own reasons, even if it is for America, because there is people that still believe that America is a great country. I would like to think I used to believe that, and there's things that they could do better. I like some of my luxuries and my privileges, but I think we need better leadership. I do think we need better moral ground. This is sitting in those positions of power. It's not fair to the rest of the world, let alone Americans, to sit here and be almost chastised by the same government that follows absolutely none of the rules it's implemented. And yeah, I'm a little guy. So, but this is how I'm getting this stuff out. All right. Uh, no, I haven't really gotten into detail in about anything really heavy, like as far as pulling out facts. A lot of stuff is just, like I said, cooler talk. So if cooler talk is enough to get the attention of the Americans and just like, hey man, did you see those people in East Palestine, Ohio? Man, that's insane. Imagine if the conversation was, yo, Black, white, or brown or blue, it doesn't matter because you're not my enemy. You may not be perfect. You may be even some to what we would call a criminal. But aren't our politicians criminals? Are we not wondering how they keep getting away with certain atrocities and incidents and lying to us repeatedly? Repeatedly at that. Yeah, that's a word, repeatedly. Way I said. Because there ain't no way you're going to make me believe that these people are really in charge. If they are, that is a failure on our part for not holding these people accountable. And now here we are in 2023, someone knocking on our door and we're not sure who it is, but we feel that cold feeling when someone he's knocking at the door. We don't know who he is or her or it. Because this rabbit hole go deep, guys. And I don't want to seem like the rabbit hole lover. I have other interests. I do, like my family and football and crypto and just hanging out and enjoying life at the best moments possible. But I would be naive if I said, "Oh no, America's we're strapped tight." We're not. So again, this is a lot of you guys' introduction to me. All right. Like there's a lot to me. I got many interests, many thoughts. But me doing this podcast tonight, this is my step and creating content. I mean, naturally I would like to make some income off of this, but for the moment being, this is just an outlet. I don't know what to expect from this. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if you guys are going to actually listen to me genuinely, like and hear me out. I'll try to record at least once a week and talk to you guys and talk to me back. You know what I'm saying? Go like my TikTok, Mark Antonio Podcast, my Facebook, Mark Antonio Podcast, my YouTube, Mark Antonio Podcast. All right. I'm out here. I'm like every other full fledged American born citizen. I'm just frustrated and tired of the BS. And it gets old. I don't like seeing people struggle. I don't like people being taken advantage of. I don't want to see our food dissipate. I don't like watching people suffer for whatever reason. But something I learned in the Air Force, um, or the Chair Force for all my veteran guys, you know, when you get tagged or you get selected, you get ready to deploy, it's a surreal feeling. You realize, shit, I got tagged. Like I'm gonna deploy. And I'm Air Force guys. Our deployments aren't scary, but for anyone understanding what that feeling is the first time you get deployed, that's essentially what this feeling is gonna feel like when the truth hits the fan or the shit hits the fan. SHTF, the new little hashtag. It's gonna feel like, yo, it's my time. And a lot of people aren't gonna be ready. A lot of people aren't ready deployed, but it happens. You get your orders in a fair. Your affairs in order, excuse me. Yeah, I'm not radio savvy, just going with you guys right now. It's more of an introduction today. Pardon me though. But get your affairs in order. You talk to your family. You hug your kids a little bit more. You enjoy those times with your family and your friends just a little bit more before you deploy. That's how this is gonna feel, and this is how I'm feeling. Like I should hug my friends and my family a little bit more. I should see those people and try to reach out. And I'm not perfect, man. I love my people, and sometimes I get caught up in my own ways because this is America. This is a rat race. Everyone trying to make it. But You got to sit down, think about it, and look at it in the face. It's a situation that's there. And right now, America's in a situation that's real unstable, and you don't know what to believe. Spy balloons, earthquakes, asteroid hits that allegedly aren't asteroid hits in Texas, the derailment, chemicals everywhere, the quote unquote 15-minute cities. There's a lot, man. There's a lot of information that we as people are neglecting and just thinking that it's just coincidental shit. It's not. And if you're a Christian, your Bible is talked about this day. If you're Catholic, which is the same thing, your Bible's talked about. Everybody who's reading this one holy book, you guys are all still coming to the same conclusion as the people who aren't even reading the book like that. They're just researching stuff. Think about that. They're just researching. And we're all formulating the same opinion of we are in the quote unquote end times, and this is the apocalypse, or AKA the lifting of the veil. I'm going to say it again. This is the apocalypse, the lifting of the veil. Lifting of the veil is just to lift the curtain over the eyes and tell the truth. And I bet there's a lot of people who don't want to hear that truth. And I don't blame them. That truth is disgusting, filthy, vile. But you can't help turn away though. You just gotta look. That's where we're at. And I hope everybody out there that tunes into this, it strolls by, you give it a good eye, you give it a good ear. Because I'm just a man. I'm just a normal guy who served the country, who's trying to chase that American dream or what's left of it, of providing a home for my family and living an honest life and being of service. That's why I coach. I don't do it for money. I don't do anything for recognition. But I feel we all do need to be of service to each other. And this is how all this works. This is why the cops have a problem. Because they're not of service to us anymore. That went out the door a long time ago. You get a couple good ones in there that are of service, but you know the saying, man, birds of a feather flock together. Sometimes it's not true because that bird could fly off on its own and start its own family and be like, hey, I don't want to be a part of that. But we've known too well after watching the incident in Memphis. It's a long list, man. Michael Brown, Trayvon, George. Oh my God, I feel terrible for forgetting that young man. Excuse me, that gentleman's name. But the gentleman in Milwaukee. Just many incidents, and they do come in all colors. Please don't believe that white people aren't getting shot and beat either. They are, but police brutality is good for ratings with mainstream media. It's an uncomfortable truth. So I don't know what I'm gonna do in this situation, but I do know that I would like to be ahead of the game as opposed as behind the eight ball. And for everyone who listens to this live later on, um, and this podcast, thank you for tuning in. But for everyone that hears this, please know that I say this from the bottom of my heart. You guys need to start preparing for a worst case scenario. I am not one to play around with stuff like that, but something's knocking at the door. We don't know what it is. And I wish I could be lighthearted about it. I try at times, but It's a cold world out here, man. Hide your children, kiss your wife, do what you need to do, prepare. You know what all you need to do. I ain't gonna tell you what to do. You do what you need to do. But don't let it consume you, just like I said in a video a couple weeks ago. Don't let it consume you because you still got to go out here and live your life. Always remember, humans have been around through much worse. We're a resilient group of people, undeniably. If you believe all the context from the Bible and history, the floods, fires, remember, we're still here. So clearly, we're not going anywhere, but we do have to fix the current problems we have on our hands because everyone's involved. It's not a secret. You can't avoid it. Trust me. When I talk to this about my wife, we have candid conversations and we really get in detail. But you can't make everybody see it. And I'm not saying my wife doesn't see it. My wife sees it. But sometimes when, you try to alert people because hey, I want you to know, I want you to know, it fall on deaf ears and you be like, man, they don't want to hear it. And that's not your place to make them see it. Because, I'm gonna quote this. It may be a little off, but his name is Dick Gregory. There's a video, right? He says, and loose translation or layman terms, you put glasses on. It's like those glasses from that movie They Live, right? And when you put those glasses on, you're forced to see the world for the way it is. And it's a gift and a curse because you can't make anyone else see what you see. It's only you that sees it and maybe a small demographic of people in your circle and around the world. But it's your choice to see it. It's no one else's. And you just have to be there to pick them up when things hit the fan because that's what being of service means. You may have to help your family or your loved ones or your best friend come to conclusions that they aren't coming to conclusions to. A lot of the veterans, like myself, have come to these conclusions in the last 20 years, watching us destroy a bunch of people for what? Resources? It wasn't freedom. It couldn't have been freedom because Afghanistan is in bad shape still. Iraq is still rebuilding. And then all these people got to do something with their lives while we're in our country sitting fat, but slowly dying, slowly being poisoned. Excuse me. Slowly watching everything that you've ever worked for be taken away because you can't afford anything due to inflation. Your eggs are about as high as your drugs. Think about that. But yet, they're still burning down stuff. And I say they because someone's doing it. These things aren't just happening dramatically on their own. All the processing and production places in America are having problems. All derailments. Everyone's having strange weather. Look, man, whether you believe in Jesus Christ, God, Satan, the devil, fairies, gnomes, Cthulhu, whatever you want to believe, yes, I go through a lot of these deities and I read, and we're going to talk about a lot of this stuff in increments because I'm a lighthearted guy. But there's some conversations that need to be had. And one of them is why now? Why now? What changed? What made them push the button on COVID? If there is a them, it came from Wuhan, China, but it was funded by America. Somebody's involved, but who? What are their names? It's always easy to look back in history with politicians and realize that some of these guys were foreign relation committee members. And I always let people know when if you're in Congress or Senate and your sole purpose is to handle international relations and all that, I'll bet by bottom dollar you've seen some things. And when a person who's worked overseas knows all the back doors, the little nooks and crannies in countries that everyone else don't know, they tend to make those poor moral choices in there because can't nobody see it. Because in America, our media is filtered, so we don't see anything. If you go look for it, sure, you'll scrape the surface. But if you're not just looking into reading different documents and books, man, you won't never know what led to this. But I'll tell you what, our current president was on a foreign committee for like 40 plus years. Well, think about the last 40 plus years of international relations, and maybe we could point a finger at what's the problem. I'm not red, I'm not blue. I'm for, excuse me, I'm for the people who do everything in this country and who pay the most taxes and have the most mental health issues. I'm for those people, not the 1%, not the five, and not the little celebrity puppets that do their bidding for them. And don't get it wrong, I enjoy their entertainment. Like I like their music, but I'm not stupid. If you watch the Grammys or the Oscars, whatever the hell that was, you saw it. Come on, you saw it. You know what's out there. You know what's going. They put it in your face. So do me a favor. Share this video. Share this podcast. Listen to this episode. Tell them, tell your people that, hey, there's someone else talking about the same thing you're talking about. He's just your average Joe veteran from the Air Force or the Air Force because we don't do anything but drop bombs. But you love steak and lobster night, though. You always remember those when you're deployed, right? I was that guy. I was in the background. I've always been in the background. I didn't become a leader until I got married. I wasn't a leader before that. I tried to be, but I wasn't really that. But now that I have a family, I have something to leave, I have my children. Yeah, you doggone right. I'm ready to fight for that. Why? Because who else is gonna do it? Who else gonna get out there and spread this information to the masses? I may get persecuted, I may be called a lot of things, but you won't say I'm a terrible person. Mm, it varies if you got on my bad side. Probably deserve it. But I'm an honest person. And I know we've all heard that before. That's what the politicians say. I'm an honest person. You can vote and believe in me. And as soon as we vote, he whip his Johnson out and be like, who bigger? Left wing, right wing, same bird, fellas, ladies, vets, hunters, nurses. Shout out to the nurses, the teachers, everybody. We're all in this together. No one's excluded from this. It's not a call to arms. That's not what I'm asking for. It's a call to understanding and awakening and seeing the truth and spotting the filth covering the truth. I'm not gonna hold you tonight. This is the first episode, but I want you to understand All 330 million of us in this American beautiful country that we do have. We matter, because if we didn't, they wouldn't appease us the way they do. They wouldn't give us our income taxes in that little trickle down effect in economics we learned about. They wouldn't every now and then grant your kid a scholarship. That means they're picking and choosing. We don't want that. We want them to choose us, the people, the country, the kids, the children. We got to be better. And I'm going to leave you with that tonight. I want to say thank you. This is the first podcast. Uh, I hope there to be many more, and I hope there to be fans, not fans, excuse me, many like-minded people who still believe to some inkling that we have a chance in this country to be better than than our past. Because when the boomers did it, it was about the kids. The children are the future. Now the millennials are coming to of age and position. It's about our children again. More now, even more now. So I want to leave that note on you. I love you guys. Appreciate you listening, liking, following, sharing. Whatever you're going to do it. I support it. I appreciate it. You're appreciated. Mark Antonio, thank you for listening. Good night.